welcome back to Kevin Pollak's Chat Show. I am, as always, Chat Show. And Sammy and I were just joking because it feels like we were yelled at.
J-Max is very loud.
He's very loud. Also,
he has a theatrical voice.
Also, he's dealing with what I can only assume is the end stage of his life. He's very ill.
End of days?
It's end of days for
in
J-Max.
his chest?
He says it's passing, but I don't know. He's looking real
I like to tell him that he caught it from Ricky Gervais, who was here not long ago.
You know what? There's worse
and had
ways to go.
serious bronchial issues.
Oh, yeah.
And warned everyone not to touch him. And weirdly, J-Mac kept touching him. Say so long to Jaden Fox, everybody.
Hi, Jaden.
Makeup artist to the stars extraordinaire on her way out. Yeah. Thank you, Jaden, for everything.
Bottom line is we're all going to miss J-Mac for a couple hours.
Bottom line is I feel like we're going to be at his wake.
Yeah.
I think that's the bottom line.
It is the bottom line. And I'll be sad, but by evening I'll be fine again.
By evening?
Yeah.
Huh.
He just celebrated a birthday. He's going out on
Because I was going to suggest the wake take place at night and just cut out the middleman. So you can go from celebrating his life, sad, and then over it.
Let's not ask him what his final wishes are. Let's just do it on our own.
Jamie?
First of all,
we
all know J-Mac's going to outlive me just so he can be around to irritate me for the rest of my life.
As a ghost? No.
Wait, he's going to outlive me. Like, I'm going to die first, so he can always be needling me.
See, because I like my brain went right to him being a ghost and needling you. I find that slightly more unnerving.
Yeah, because there's no escape.
Yeah.
Not even death. Not even the sweet release of death.
Because according to you, he'd also...
But if his afterlife is anything like his current life, he'll be too lazy to actually haunt.
Wow. I don't know that he needs this aggravation. But let's not forget, according to you, he'll also be the loudest ghost in history.
That's true. He'll be calling me up like, wait, as a ghost.
Calling you up.
Listen, as a ghost.
Ghost phone call.
Listen, as a ghost, he's gonna be asking me, where do you think I could get some chains?
Chains? Oh, the ghost has chains.
Yeah, like Marley.
Yeah, that's where you went. The ghost of Marley.
He does that. He always, randomly, he'll need like a prop or something for like something he's doing, and he'll be like, where do you think I could get like a fanny pack?
Where do you get a fanny pack?
The answer is there a ghost version of Amazon, or would he go to like Home Depot?
Ghost Home Depot.
Ghost Depot.
Ghost Depot. There's a Ghost Depot there.
All right.
I think we should talk about this
That's all the time we have. I apologize to our guest. Write to us, won't you please? KPCSfanmail@gmail.com. I know I ask you to write to us at KPCSfanmail@gmail.com, and then I don't read your emails, but it's only because you suck at writing them. So write good emails and send them to KPCSfanmail@gmail.com. I'm not going to also say that JMac doesn't forward me enough of them, because that suggests there are a lot to forward. And I don't want to make that presumption.
Our fans are, they're real fair weather.
Yes, and the weather's been rather unfair. Recent guests, Bryan Cranston, Pamela Adlon, Ricky Gervais, Billy Bob Thornton. See, these are archives. You can just go to kevinpollak.tv and pull up Chat Show. You've got the audio or the video. Pull them up all day long as you were. But write to us and let us know what you think, damn it. Let's get to our guest today, shall we?
Yes, I would love to.
Seems like a fun thing to do.
Yeah.
I've been a fan forever. We both, talking before the show, feel fairly confident that we met at some point. He insists I was wearing a hat.
That's
so it's probably
almost a
true.
certainty.
Yeah. Please welcome Chris Kattan. Chris!
Thank you. I didn't necessarily insist on that.
You didn't?
I didn't insist.
No.
I did say that I think you were wearing a hat.
With confidence.
I wasn't like, you were wearing a hat! So I didn't insist.
I wasn't scolding, insisting.
No, I didn't insist.
What
might have been scolding a little bit. But
what do you think the last time was when you insisted?
With you or anyone? I think I insisted on someone get out of the way a couple days ago.
Sure. How might that have gone?
I was in my car, and I believe it was a person, and he was walking in the traffic.
All right.
I'm looking over here like I'm being hypnotized for some reason, like I was, and I said, I yelled, get out of the. I said, get out of the way.
That's insisting.
And he didn't hear me because my windows weren't down or anything, but I just yelled it. Kind of like saying, like, turn your headlights off.
Right.
But nobody, how can they hear you or see you do that? It's the
They can't.
Same effect. So
I feel like
the person was not getting out of the way.
you have been or were touring as a stand-up comedian the last 2, 3, 4 years. I saw your name on a poster for an upcoming show at a place that I was playing, and I thought, oh man, I should warn him. And it was Marco Island in Florida.
Yeah.
With the shark head coming out of the back of the stage, like
Yes.
exploding through the wall.
That's a strange place.
I don't know about you, but I did my opening 9 minutes minimum was on ripping in my agent a new asshole for allowing me to be performing at a place where there was a shark exploding through the back wall.
It was a very humid area.
And a restaurant.
Very humid, and it smelled like old
Old
semen.
Jews, just say it.
Semen kind of crab leggy.
Now when you say semen, do you mean men at sea?
Both, yeah.
Okay.
Ejaculating men of sea. And it was a very, also the people were very strange too. Not to be racist, but there's no race, but there are race, but they were just strange.
The audience.
Audience. Well, yeah, they were strange. They all seemed like they're under some weird, I don't know, it was just an odd place. It was like a little bit Lord of the Flies ish, maybe.
Of old people. Well, I also remember.
I had a younger crowd, actually.
Did you?
But
because everyone had a walker for me. But also at eye level, it was I was just going to soar over you.
Yeah.
But it was a restaurant that then would become a comedy club at a certain point. So people were kind of wrapping up dinner a little bit, which is always a great joy.
The backstage had like a fish. It was like a fish net, or those nets that you throw in the water.
And there was a fake shark busting through the back wall.
Yeah, like a harpoon and like a mask, like an underwater mask man.
Right, and it had a longer name.
The restaurant was?
The comedy club restaurant thing had a really stupid, weird name. Look up comedy club Marco Island, Florida, please. And I remember at eye level, you would see the kitchen, open kitchen, but at eye level were just the plates stacked. And for some reason, this row of stacked plates kept drawing my eye away from what I was doing because I wanted to be elsewhere. I think.
Off the Hook comedy.
Yeah, Off the Hook.
Oh my God.
The nautical-themed Captain Brian's.
That's right.
Captain Brian's Off the Hook.
He owns another place too.
Here's hoping.
I wonder if he knows Captain Ron from the galley.
Oh gosh, I hope. Yeah,
but I did not know you performed it. That was the last time I ever worked there.
Or went first and last, I think, for just about everyone that goes through there.
Yeah, and they said it was like, some people told me like, oh, it's a very nice place. Oh, have the food when you're there. Nothing smelled good there.
Nope.
Like, not one area of the island smelled good.
I think our dressing room was the men's room.
Yeah, it was the men's room.
It sounds like you were performing in a Joe's Crab Shack.
It was like that,
Basically.
yeah.
Yeah, because it sounds like
smaller
there's a bunch of
version.
stuff on the wall.
It's a lot like that.
Yeah.
But a small Joe's, not even a regular sized Joe's. It held maybe 120 people.
Yeah, maybe
tops.
less. There was like a little bar.
It was breathtaking how disappointing it was when I walked in the first time and thought, this is what I do now.
Yeah.
I performed at Captain Brian's Off the Hook.
Yeah, it was
comedy club.
It was a little depressing.
Yes.
Yeah, and like I remember the other stand-up person that opened for me was like just talking. He got into something cathartic because I think he thought this is the end for him or something. Well, he really did. He's like, I just want to thank everyone for this moment, and I think he started crying. Like it wasn't even funny, but just the feeling of being on this island that this might be the end or something because it was didn't feel right. It just didn't feel right.
That was his opening remarks?
Well, no, that was like the end. Like, I want to thank everybody, for having me. He just started breaking down. He did it like twice. It was just like a unhealthy, because you took the bridge, you drove from the Florida, whatever, to the island, right?
Yes. There was a little bridge you went over.
The bridge, or like it wasn't one of those bridges that lasted for like an hour, wasn't it? One of those, like you drove on it for an hour.
It seemed like an hour.
It seemed like it was a Keys kind of thing, though. Maybe it wasn't. I might be wrong, but it seemed like an hour. But it just seemed like a very strange. You didn't want to be there. The whole island, I just did not.
No, you didn't want to be there. Probably the first drive on the bridge wasn't bad, but then every time you're on that bridge after that, it seemed like an hour was horrible because you were either leaving the gig and going back to the hotel thinking my life is over, or you were on your way back the next night thinking my life is over. So either way, just past that first time on the bridge, which probably thought, well, this isn't bad. Yeah. Every time afterwards, it was a death mark.
I I don't know why. It might have been. It was probably the beginning of my my career, or not my career. My my stand-up. Beginning of doing some stand-up, and when I went to Marco Island. I remember some girl was cute, and I spoke with her, and she was like, "You should hang out with me and my friends." And I said, "Okay." And I ended up somewhere in some home that had no furniture in it, and like a lot of things on the wall that were like either food and or written. It was a very weird. It's just all of it was. There was nothing healthy or normal about anything about that whole experience.
It's like a Manson family reunion.
It was. It was very strange. It was like
a squatter situation.
What's a squatter?
Where you see an empty home and you don't own it, you just go in there and make it your own until somebody
It might have
kicks
been
you
like
out.
that. Yeah, it was like that. Like it just seemed like it was nothing was right, and I was like counting the days. Anyway, I'm surprised you went there because I thought it was just my own like experience.
Well, I think what happens
it was
is
like just my own nightmare.
You set a certain price,
right?
And there are only so many venues out there that can afford that price,
right?
And I think that's how people like you and I end up at that place because they said yes. They said yes and paid the price, and then the agent might be told, might not be told what to expect.
Right. So
we never
hear. Because it's never brought up anymore. So
it's
maybe
never discussed.
We may have been we're the ones to check it out and see what it's like.
I wonder how many agents get that phone call
for Marco Island.
Either before the first show or after the first show. That says, "What have you done? Why would you do this?" And then it's re-explained to us. They said yes.
Yeah.
You charged too much.
I don't know.
They said yes.
Yeah. I don't even know. Anyway, it was just none of that felt right.
Can I suggest
like shining at sea or something?
Yeah.
Like that, kind of like
I'm going to suggest what helped you through that experience.
I'm glad we shared that, by the way.
I am too. I've never talked to anyone about Marco Island who lived through it.
Yeah, it was like
congratulations.
Papillon or something. Yeah.
Careful, the cups are very weak.
Thank you very much.
Let's suggest it's possible what helped you get through that experience was your formative years growing up on a Zen retreat with your mom and stepdad who was a Buddhist therapist and monk.
Is this IMDb?
Is that possible? That any of that is true?
Some of it is true. I don't know if it was a retreat. I guess it was. I grew up. I was born. Well, I was raised by my mom and dad in Sherman Oaks.
Sure.
And thank you. And
but you were still quite young when you found yourself. Nope.
What? Found myself like
living with the
in Zen
Buddhist therapist monk stepfather.
Yes, at age 2, my parents divorced, and my mom met my stepfather, and they went to Mount Baldy. Do you know where Mount Baldy is?
I do.
Okay, so Mount Baldy does exist. It is a place, and it's like northeast of Pomona, I guess I'd say.
You should say.
North of Claremont.
That'd be accepted also.
These things people know, places. And then, we moved up there, and it's not the best place for a child to grow up. It's like the cabin world, like Marco Island, but like higher elevation. And so that's where my mom and stepdad were. And as a child, you don't know why you move. And when you're in the middle of a divorce thing, you don't know what's happening.
Especially at 2 or 3?
New man. What?
I don't, at 2 or 3 years old?
You're like, let me hold on to this, somebody's arm, and you don't know what's going on. And then, So anyway, so my stepdad was, he was a Zen monk, so he and Leonard Cohen, so now you're interested, was, they were Zen students, and they helped build the Zen Center up there. So there is, if you go up there now, there is a Zen retreat, I guess you call it, but I think it's called a
center.
A Zen Center. And at that time there was a Roshi, which means teacher, that was teaching there, kind of like a Dalai Lama in the sense of this type of Buddhism, which is, I think, just Zen Buddhism. And so he was stationed up there. There's also another place called Cimarron Zen Center, which is in downtown LA, on the street Cimarron. And he would go hopping back and forth from these two places, the Roshi. So I was living up there because my mom and stepdad lived there, and there was a school up there as well called Mount Baldy School. It was like kids from kindergarten to 8th grade. It was all the same kids, same 40 kids for that long a time, because it was a small, the people that lived in Mount Baldy were like either hiding from the government or poor, and strange, maybe.
Or Captain Brian,
or Captain Brian,
would later.
Very Marco Island. Maybe that's why Marco Island brought up so much disturbing feelings, maybe. But anyway, so
you were there how long on the Baldy?
I was there from age 2 to 15.
Wow.
14, yeah.
Like a sentence.
Yeah. And they said, I would go visit my dad on the weekends in Sherman Oaks, and he was, I don't know if that's part of what you read, but he was one of the founding members of the Groundlings.
Yeah.
So I would see him on the weekends perform at the Groundlings, and then go back to.
You would go to shows at the Groundlings as a child.
Yes, like sit backstage and get to see like Paul Rubens do Pee Wee Herman and Phil Hartman and those. I was like 7, 8 years old when that was happening. So that, and then you go to Mount Baldy. So it was like extreme, But that clearly being on Mount Baldy made me nuts, and made me obviously go to the opposite direction.
You got hooked quick.
Yeah, I got off the hook.
Backstage at the Groundlings.
That became kind of like the happy place,
Well, everyone's at play also.
Oh, yeah.
And the grown-ups are acting
Zen
like
monks
children.
And people on stage, it's a difference. So, like, I want to be a Zen monk.
Right, on stage, in a sketch.
Right, exactly.
But not in real life.
No, exactly. So that always appealed to me, and so that may have been a problem for my mom and dad, because it was kind of a bummer for my mom, because obviously it made me go opposite of her in her world. So, but that's another story. But
fortunately, we have time for that story as well.
So, did I answer your question? Was that a
answer? Sure. Yeah, no, it's an open conversation.
Okay.
And
so I had a different upbringing, I guess, than most. I had a lot of silence, a lot of lessons or things like make things learn how to entertain yourself when you have nothing, and
just be silent for 12 minutes.
Know what to do in silence, like what do you do alone, because they were very adamant about that,
finding peace.
Yeah, well, just knowing how to entertain yourself, just so you don't get used to materialistic things and or having
use your imagination.
Using your imagination, exactly, creating something out of nothing, all those kind of things, and that did actually happen out of frustration and being lonely and staring at rocks and a lot of that, a lot of staring. I did a lot of staring at that age.
Sure.
But I did learn, it did, I don't know when it was for you or...
It sounded like you were being encouraged to stare at rocks, though.
Possibly, yeah. Well, there wasn't much else to do either. But I think that was... I don't know what their intention was. Well, yeah, I guess so. They didn't know if I was going to be a creative type or not, but I think they did... I don't know what they were thinking, because when I got Saturday Night Live, they were like very they kind of were taken aback. They didn't understand how that actually happened.
That didn't make sense to them.
It didn't make sense to them. Partly because they didn't have anything to do with encouraging that, actually. So my mom and stepdad, my dad did.
Sure. But they must have known that you were thriving at the Groundlings at that point.
They knew that I was, enjoying my dad's world.
But hadn't come to see shows at the Groundlings.
No, they didn't go. It was an opposite world. I mean, like Mount Baldy, like we lived in Barrett Canyon, and it was like we lived off a fire road, which is not really a road. It's a road that's built to stop fires. So to drive on this was like, people didn't want to visit us, and we didn't really leave.
Were they literally discussing visiting you, and one of them said, but they live on a fire road?
Friends were like, hey, let's have a...
Do you remember the last time we went, the sound it made against the tires?
Right, no, nobody could drive on it. No, I know, exactly. That was kind of it. And one of the few times we literally went out for dinner from our cabin in Barrett Canyon, it was like 7 years after we moved up there, and I'm not kidding. We got a call, or my stepdad got a call while we're at his friend's house that we were having dinner at, and he got a call saying that our house is on fire. The house burned down. So the one night, I swear to God, the one night that we left, the house was on fire.
It took 7 years to leave and have dinner elsewhere.
Yeah.
And when you finally did,
no joke,
the house caught on fire.
Caught on fire and burned down. So then we spent
another
3 years.
You couldn't write that as fiction.
No, but it was really depressing. And then it got, I'm not saying it was depressing before. It was just kind of lonely. So,
It would seem like it would be lonely at the time, and only in retrospect, looking back, does it sound...
Right. Plus, this is pre-internet.
Yes, it is.
Realize.
Were you allowed a television?
I can't escape. There was a television, yes, but I was limited to a half hour a day, which is fine. I'm not complaining.
Sorry, you sound like you said a half hour.
Half hour a day, half an hour.
Jamie, how's your youth? If only allowed a half hour day of television.
I think I watched like 4 to 6 hours of television.
Oh
a day.
Jesus! See, that would never happen for me.
Well,
Why would you? What? Really?
I did that.
That's a lot.
I know.
I did.
I would try to watch as much as I could at my dad's house, and he was very much about. But he only wanted me to watch good things, which was great, like Marx Brothers and Chaplin, all these great things. It's like if you're gonna watch something, watch something good, which is great. That's how I am now. I don't like watching crappy stuff. And he was like, turn the volume down to the commercials. I like commercials. So he was very. He hated all that kind of.
I can remember consuming everything like it was.
That's what we did. I mean, like we watched all syndicated television. And,
Munsters.
But for us, it was like Night Court and Charles in Charge and Cheers and. That's
that was on. Yeah, I didn't. We just didn't. I didn't watch that. I would watch cartoons in the afternoon, or sometimes Happy Days.
What cartoons do we think?
I did listen to old-time radio shows, too. A lot of, like, Jack Benny and...
Who was turning you on to that?
My dad. This is all my dad's stuff. He was very nostalgic, and he loved, like...
Character actor named Kip King?
Kip King, yes. Yeah. He was a voice of Taylor Smurf, and he did a lot of things. He was... in fact, you were talking about Tom Hanks earlier, that when Tom Hanks hosted on SNL, he was my dad was on a Bosom Buddies episode, and Will and Tom Hanks and I were doing a Roxbury thing, bopping our heads in Times Square, and Tom was like, I said, oh, my dad worked with you once on Bosom Buddy. He goes, who's your dad? I said, Kip King. And he goes, oh my God, does he still live in Sherman Oaks? Because I guess that's how he is. He just remembers things, and like a healthy Tom Cruise. Like there's a reason why he remembers. Tom Cruise always studies, numbers and things. But that was kind of surreal. But yeah, he. I don't know what my point was, but what was my point? Did I have a point?
It seemed like your point was to slam Tom Cruise. That was the that was I legally can't allow.
Maybe that's what it was. But it was
But Tom brought your dad into a sketch on SNL. Is that what that led to? Your dad was actually in the sketch?
No, I was talking about my dad, and then I kind of included.
Remember that Tom Hanks remembered your dad.
Right, exactly.
That a lot of people remembered him.
Yes. Oh, that's what. This was my conclusion. Was that, or my point was that my dad did the Bosom Buddies. He did a lot of television in the late 70s, like Jefferson's. And One Day at a Time.
The shows I was watching when I was coming up.
Yeah, stuff like that. So that's what he was doing.
Yeah.
He was. I guess that is a character actor. Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
He was a character actor.
And but to see him at the Groundlings and see this thing flourishing as a 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old, it must just be like going to school, like comedy camp.
Yeah, it was. It was.
How soon before somebody throws you up on stage?
I didn't go on stage until I didn't go on stage until maybe high school, which was after Mount Baldy. My mom and stepdad moved from Mount Baldy to Seattle.
Of course.
Where was a place called Bainbridge Island. We lived on Bainbridge Island, and then just I performed in a pep assembly, and
what was that performance?
That was me doing I was doing an impression of the teachers at school, like I was playing Robin Leach interviewing other teachers, and I actually got the teachers to being in the interview. I did like a sketch, basically in the pep assembly, and
Robin Leach was extremely popular at the time.
It was, yeah. And I don't know who did him on SNL. Somebody did him on SNL.
Dana Carvey.
Is that right? Okay. So he's like, I'm Roman Leach, and
I don't know why.
I don't know why exactly. Yeah. So I did that, and so I interviewed, and that made me, get some friends, because I didn't have a lot of friends when I came from Mount Baldy to there, and
you were the Zen kid.
I was a Zen child, yeah.
Yeah.
So I go back and forth to visit my dad from Seattle to there. So that I wasn't really on. That was my stage. The pep assembly was the first time I was ever thrown on stage.
Right.
So I wasn't on the Groundlings stage until maybe until after I started taking the classes.
You've decided to commit yourself to the program of the Groundlings.
Exactly. I left after high school. I went down to Los Angeles. Had a dream to get on SNL.
Moved to Los Angeles full time.
Well, yes, exactly. Move in with my dad.
Right.
And take classes at the Groundlings. I started at like age 19, and then yeah. I mean, there's things that happened, but technically that's what happened
with the
Groundlings.
dream of being on Saturday Night Live.
Yes, an intention. Yes, yeah. I really thought. I mean, I don't know. I guess we all have this at some point, where you have some sort of not a voice in your head, but some sort of epiphany of some sort, and you. I just had a strong sense of like when I watched SNL, saying I thought, you know, like I really felt like if I was on that show that I would do well, very well, but I just didn't know how to get there.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, you know how you have some.
And when you were at the Groundlings, it was a negative in terms of getting on SNL.
Yeah, at that time.
Lorne was very much against the Groundlings for the longest time. He poo-pooed the whole place.
He was like, it's very hack, and
I think until Phil Hartman and Lovitz.
Well, no, this is after. It was after. Well, that may be the case, but I just know, my experience from being on during the time I was at the Groundlings, they were saying it was just very difficult for Lorne or anybody to come from SNL to see the show. Then you just couldn't get anybody because they thought it was hacked, and it was post It's Pat that time, and I think there was this bad taste in the fact that Julie Sweeney did a It's Pat movie, and that wasn't an SNL film, and it wasn't like, you know, a Lorne SNL movie, and so she just did it on her own, and that made him angry, and he was like, oh, Groundlings, something political like that. So nobody really wanted to go to the Groundlings to see anybody. I tried to get my agent to get somebody from SNL to come, and they're like, nobody wanted to come. So it took a long time until they actually came to the show to pick talent out.
Marcy Klein?
It was a girl, it was eventually Marcy Klein, but at first it was a woman by the name of Pam somebody, and she was she apparently discovered Chris Farley at Second City. So because of that, she was also one that might find somebody somewhere, you know, to watch somebody, and then
she had street
pick
cred.
up the phone and call Lorne and say, like, you know, so that was my only like possibility. And then so she called Marcy Klein, and then she came down and saw Will and me and Sherry and Jennifer Coolidge, who also was flown out to audition. But anyway, so it took a long time to get somebody to come down to the Groundlings. Now it's like, you know, Maya Rudolph, Kristen Wiig, Melissa McCarthy. It's like people will go. They just hired I forgot her name.
Somebody else from there.
Somebody recently, yeah.
You were making so much money at the Groundlings that you probably didn't need a day job.
Well, theater is like, oh my God.
What sort of day job might you have?
I was, first I worked at a video store called Music Plus Video.
Sure.
Do you know Music Plus Video?
Heard of it.
Where were you?
I grew up in Northern California.
Okay, so California. Then
but it's a California thing. Yeah.
So Music Plus Video was a kind of a Valley, California thing, and I worked there as a video store. You know, VHS and Beta were the things. And then I worked for I was a chauffeur for a very old woman named Mrs. Kugel. And she lived up in Coldwater Canyon, and I drove her STS Cadillac, and it's a very easy
How does
job.
one score that?
That was my dad's neighbor was someone who just asked me out of nowhere. I don't know why.
Some woman is elderly, has money, and needs a driver.
Well, her grandmother needed a driver, and she kind of knew me as a neighbor, like.
Sure.
You know, and she was like, Chris, I don't know why I chose that accent, but she was like, Chris, do you want to drive? I'll just stay with the character. Do you want to drive for my mom?
She was from
I just realized that was probably the first laugh of this whole interview.
She was from where? With that
France
voice? Okay.
No, she was Dutch. Where's Dutchland?
The Netherlands.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Where in the Netherlands?
Where?
Which part of
Which
the
Netherlands? Which land of Nether?
Finland? Norway? Or?
Well, that's the peninsula.
Oh, I'm really good.
This is the Netherlands is where Amsterdam and stuff.
Oh, that Netherlands.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, those are Dutch people.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Got it.
The less European side.
That one. Okay.
The other side is the Scandinavian peninsula.
That's the first time. Now I know.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem.
Would you like a quick example of how
Like a map? You want to get a map?
My geography is the worst of anyone you've ever met.
Your geography?
As yours
mine?
Seemingly.
Actually, I have pretty good geography except for that area.
You normally do.
I thought I did.
I have unbelievably bad.
Geography?
Yeah. I mean, not just
like
not knowing which way to turn. I mean,
right.
I'm not sure I could map out all the countries on a...
Which way to turn? That's really just directions. Really. Montana!
Which way is Dubuque? Yeah. So I got a stand-up gig early on in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Oh,
and this is early 80s. And the owner of the club says, we're not far from Santa Fe. You should take my car and drive there on Saturday because the gig is, Thursday through Sunday or whatever. Take my car there on Saturday. You're going to like Santa Fe. I'd never been to New Mexico. I go, great. I jump into his car. I'm driving along, going to Santa Fe. And you get the green highway signs that go by. Santa Fe tells you how many miles, 74 or whatever it was. And then it said Las Vegas, 48 miles, and then another town, 22 miles. And I thought, wait a minute. Las Vegas. Actually, Santa Fe was 74 miles. Las Vegas was like 92 miles, so it's a little further than Santa Fe. And I blew past Santa Fe. I'm going to Vegas, baby.
It's very beautiful.
Oh my God!
Yeah, you didn't know.
So I'm driving to Vegas, and I'm looking, and now it's Vegas, 17 miles. I'm thinking, shouldn't I see some sort of billboard?
By the way. Go ahead.
Giant wheel.
Or it's like one of those big trucks.
In 1982, I'm telling you, the steering wheels, you really had to hold them down here. There was no way to control them from up here. You really had to keep the center of gravity low. Yeah. Las Vegas, 11 miles. I'm so excited, but where's the billboard telling me that, Doug Henning or somebody has a show? Where are the shows?
Yeah.
4 miles to Vegas. That's just odd. There should be at least one fucking billboard telling me what. I pull into the town of Las Vegas, New Mexico.
Oh.
Where there is a single gas station. I'm not exaggerating. A couple of chickens in and around the gas station. I went in. I got 4 postcards. I sat down and I wrote postcards to my closest friends saying, "You're not going to fucking believe what I just did."
It's nice that you chose postcards, by the way.
Well, again, it was 1982. We had just invented fire.
Yeah.
And me.
And Jamie.
And
Sam.
J-Mac.
J-Mac. Yeah, they were all born in 1982.
I didn't know about either one. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So that's how bad with geography. Because my brain said, well, it took this long to fly here from LA. It takes that long to fly from LA to Vegas.
Right.
That could be Vegas.
Yeah, I know.
If I just go on the axis of how long it takes to fly places.
Right, but I would probably be.
Also, why would you put Las Vegas on a fucking highway sign?
I know. You're angry.
Nobody needs to go to Las Vegas, New Mexico.
No,
it doesn't belong on any fucking sign.
No, I know. Yeah, clearly you got lost. But I feel I don't. Yeah, I get lost like that too. But directions, like you said, like I know where north, or I feel like there's the sun and that kind of thing. I know that. But if I saw Las Vegas, would you shut up?
There's the beautiful difference between our first guest. Our last guest had to say "God bless you" or felt she was slighting the person sneezing. She explained why she had to say it.
Once again, though, I was muted, so no one knew I sneezed.
You know I'm having fun with you.
But she's mute
so you're just gonna look crazy.
So the audience doesn't hear her sneeze.
That's not good for you, I don't think.
No. She mutes her microphone.
Oh, she does. I thought she
So here's what the audience just experienced. You talking and then yelling for no reason, "Shut up!"
Oh, no.
Yeah. Well, not realizing you were doing a hilarious joke because she was indeed sneezing.
But no, I'm not very good at geography. I don't know where everything is.
You know where Bainbridge,
I know
Washington.
where Bainbridge Island, Washington is.
Yeah.
But I don't know, I don't know where all the 50, I couldn't, some children, it's all about how you're educated too. Some children can draw, the 52 states in Hawaii and Alaska or whatever.
That's exactly right. I feel like your story...
Are we back?
Yep.
Okay.
Of losing your virginity is one we should all know. Is it one you feel you can share? Or even remember. You're making a beautiful face.
Well, we still talk about geography, right? What is that? I wonder what it is. What story?
Well, there's only one time of losing one's virginity.
I know, but there's one that I told when I have.
No. This is a question that I have that I enjoy
really
asking all guests without knowing at all whether they're comfortable about it, and you're within your rights to say I'd rather not say.
Well, let me ask you,
please,
is losing your virginity what makes it
official?
Yeah.
Okay. You slipped it in there.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, to me, virginity involves penetration.
Okay, so just penetration.
I think.
Okay, so it was
for the record.
No, you were correct. I would have said it starts with a P and rhymes with renetration. I would have said the actual word, which can leave a bad image in some people's minds. Yeah, that's what I was.
But not these days.
No,
these days you can talk all the harassment you want.
This is true. Yeah, it's very out in the open.
It was in my dad's garage.
Yeah, that's true.
I was, and it was, I was 15, I think it was 15. And she was slightly older, not that old, much older.
40.
Maybe, yeah, 50s. Very wealthy, no. And she, no, but she was just a couple years older than me, and I don't know how, it was more of a, I think it was more, it wasn't like a teenage love situation. It was more of like a...
Stumbling, bumbling?
No, it's weird. It was almost like an old-fashioned thing where my dad it was like the daughter of my dad's friend.
Perfect.
And it was more like, hey, maybe they can go mess around or something. Like, we kind of
What if your kids go out to the garage?
That kind of, well, it wasn't like go out to the garage and just stick it in there or anything like that, but it was... I think it was like, he doesn't know, and maybe you want to show him something sometime. You know what I mean? Maybe I think that.
So then it was you kids go out to the garage.
It was a little bit like that. Yeah. It was, but I never knew that. I never heard them have that conversation or knew that happened. But I think that's what happened.
She was game. That's all.
Exactly.
That really...
I think there was a little bit of a planned. She was like, "Why not? Oh, sure, he's cute or whatever."
You'd already done things like spin the bottle, find the breast.
Yeah, but not so. Mine wasn't as healthy and lovely as that. It wasn't like American Graffiti or anything like that.
I did grow up in the 60s, so yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's definitely different.
But that'd be healthier than, So, but I was, like my first kiss was with a 25-year-old, and I was 13,
Okay, that's inappropriate.
So, I guess it was. Yeah, it is inappropriate. But she was very pretty.
And a hell of a math teacher.
I didn't mean it was inappropriate for you. For you, it's a kid in a candy store.
Yeah.
How was she a part of your life at 25?
She was my babysitter.
I'll say. So was it, I'll show you how to kiss 13-year-old?
Yeah,
Sort of potentially innocent?
Well, it was like, I was like singing to her. I was one of those kids that had
wildly entertaining.
Wildly entertaining, maybe a bit romantic.
Sure.
In a way.
I was very much the same towards my babysitter, but she was more like 17. So
yeah, like I would have infatuations with the right women and obsess over them a little bit, but not to an unhealthy level. But
you wouldn't necessarily draw pictures of them and then cross out their eyes.
Right, yeah. And then someone would go down in my room and be like, why are these all mapped out? And there's strings here and pins.
Thread.
Yeah, none of that.
There's thread between them.
She was,
that's how you learn geography.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't learn that until later, but she...
until later?
She
was 25.
It was like, I was actually like literally singing. I was into doo-wop music because I guess my dad, I don't know, I guess it was part of my dad's like nostalgic thing, but I was, I was a different kid. I didn't listen to the same music that other kids did, and I was listening to old time radio shows, and other kids were like listening to Zeppelin. It was a
your dad was turning you on to music and comedy of his
True,
favorite.
But I stayed there. I wasn't like pushed to the other, like, screw you, Dad, I want to hear this old stuff.
You were in the group.
Zen, I was like, I don't want to deal with Zen, but you
took to it.
Yeah. So that kind of, I think that kind of charm or whatever that was something that a 25-year-old thought was kind of.
Well, you were a cute 13-year-old doing probably Sinatra.
I was singing. I was actually singing some sort of doo-wop.
Alrighty.
I think it was Silhouettes or something. Silhouette, silhouette. That one.
Thank you for knowing we don't have the rights to that song.
Oh, we can't sing
No,
any
you
further?
cut it off perfect.
Okay, perfect. But anyway, so I was like serenading her.
Yeah.
And she said, why don't you give me a kiss? And then I freaked out and talked about it for like an hour. Like, oh, what do I do? I can't believe you kissed me. And then she said, well, I'm just going to go. I said, okay. And then I kissed her. But that's how it went. I haven't talked about that, I don't think ever, actually, honestly.
That's what we do.
Is that what happens?
Yeah.
Yeah. But this, yeah, so there you go. There's your answer.
Okay. Well, you got it
Yeah,
correct.
the garage, and, yeah, okay, yeah.
We have a segment on the show called Famous Questions,
Okay.
where I dial up famous friends and or co-stars
Are they have
of
to be
yours,
home right
and they
now?
write a question to you,
Okay.
right? From
You
them.
already asked them?
Yes.
Okay, so it's not like we got to see if they're home.
I'm not going to
They're
reach
like,
out to
I'm
them
sorry,
now.
I'm not home right now.
Yeah.
What do you want?
Yeah, that's what I do. What I do is I get a guest on, and then I call someone, because
Right.
it's 2008.
Okay.
I call someone, and then if I get a voice answering machine, the segment dies. No, I write
When
to
you
them
call
ahead
me
of time.
back, I'm still waiting for that question.
Yeah. I write to them ahead of time, in this case, David Keckner,
Okay.
and ask him for a question. And he has a few questions.
Oh,
First one, who played the bartender in the Roxbury sketches? He wrote, it was me.
I think it was Horatio.
Sure, I knew he would get it wrong.
Was I right?
you
Or was
got
I
it right.
wrong. I got it right?
Yeah, his next question, what 3 characters did you audition with
Oh.
in your SNL?
That's his question?
Yep,
Nobody asked that.
it's a pretty good one.
Sure. What 3 characters did I use in my
You're supposed to bring 3 characters,
Yes, yes,
original and 3 impressions,
So, yes,
kind
so
of
the
thing?
question is original characters? Is that the
Yes.
The original characters were Mr. Peepers,
Sure.
the monkey character, and I used it. What's that? Oh, it was a boombox narrating. You know, this is Mr. Peepers. Which is basically I narrated. The narration was actually another Tom Hanks reference. Was the dialogue that Tom Hanks was going to say in the first sketch I did of Mr. Peepers on SNL, because it was the same sketch I did at the Groundlings. So
Right.
So anyway, so it was me narrating just Mr. Peepers, and I was on a stool doing Mr. Peepers and contorting and eating an apple, and then I think they gave me like a chalkboard because that was part of my audition, to go behind and change, like I'm doing like a one-man show or something.
Sure.
And then the other character was Sewell Forrester is his name. He's the gibberish guy.
Okay.
There was, I guess the first one I did was, he was a substitute teacher, and he was like, good afternoon, I'm Silmarna, going to be your substitute, that thing. It's really stupid.
And you had done that at
And,
Groundlings.
I did that at the Groundlings as well, yeah.
Yeah.
These were sketches I did at the Groundlings already, so, and somehow I learned that these would be, these were good, these characters would be the ones to probably do out of all the ones I did at the Groundlings, the Mr. Peepers and the Sewell Forrester, and the other one was just a guy trying to find the right music to dance to and on a date, and basically I was like just doing my dancing moves or whatever, and this is pre-Roxbury or pre-Mango too or whatever, and I was basically humping the couch while the girl was on the couch. It was a visual thing. And
You were doing some physical comedy.
so I did some physical dancing comedy. So those were the 3 characters. That character of the guy trying to find the right music to dance to and humping the couch was in a sketch with Terry Hatcher that you might not be able to find out because of the music rights
right, of course.
on the show.
And did you have to do 3 impressions as well?
Yes.
I mean, you're encouraged
It
to.
was, I think, 2 impressions and 1 political, and that was, by the way, it was David Keckner. Where were we? Anyway, so the character, I thought we moved on from, I forgot that this is still an answer to David Keckner's question.
Well, he asked about 3 original characters,
Right.
and I'm asking about
And then,
impressions.
so the impression was someone political, I don't remember, but the political impression was, and the other impression was Christian Slater interviewing a vampire.
Sure.
And I was like, oh, so you're a vampire. The story you're telling me is amazing. It's incredible.
That's great.
And then the other one was, I think, David Lee Roth.
Oh, that makes sense.
I think it was. I was like, zippity bop, diddy bop. I ain't got nobody. I ain't got nobody. Something like that. I'm pretty sure that was the other one.
Yeah.
But I don't remember who the political one was, because I didn't have one, and then Marcy Klein said, like, why don't you do Mario Cuomo or something like that? I don't know why it was Mario Cuomo. Look at what Mario Cuomo. Is Mario Cuomo in politics?
Oh, yes.
Yes, that's right.
Another question from the Keckner. What would your buddy movie be with you, Keckner, and Pollock? That seems like a lot of pressure to improvise an entire movie.
Try and make up the name of a movie? Or
Sure.
For a movie already that exists?
Nope, just make up a movie title.
Sabrina 2.
Yep. No more calls.
That's a
Pencils
sequel to
down.
Sabrina, though.
We have a winner. What hobby or last question? What hobby or interest do you have that might surprise people?
Hobbies?
Hobby or interest do you have that might surprise people? I like to collect heads, that sort of thing.
I like to. What?
Go ahead.
Okay. I'm trying to think. It has to be interesting, right?
No.
Oh, doesn't it matter?
It could be completely banal.
I like to collect. Well, that's not interesting. Old Playboys.
I find that interesting.
That is interesting.
That was
right?
my introduction to what sex is.
Okay, yeah. Like old Playboy issues. Like,
yes.
I have the number one. I get the
My
number
uncle
one.
Sylvan Zucker had a collection of Playboys, and I think I told the story recently. We would go to visit the Zuckers.
Yeah.
Once I found out that there were Playboys underneath the sink.
Yeah.
And every time we visited them, Kevin was gone for 98 minutes.
Right.
And everyone knew where he was. Yeah.
98 minutes, is that what it took?
That was about the average.
Nice. It's a good time.
Yeah. It was an amazing time.
Yeah, so Playboys. I like to collect, things like that. I like to start collections.
The number one, Marilyn Monroe, was on the cover or the fold-out?
The cover. She was on the cover and the fold-out. Wait, yeah, I think so.
Definitely the cover.
She was like this.
Yeah.
Something like that. And so I got that later, though, when I had more money to get it.
Sure.
But so Playboy issues. Some other. Star Wars action figures.
Your favorite thing?
Sure, that's a big deal among nerd. Damon Lindelof
But like the ones that are still in the package, you know, like this, like the original ones. It's, like this bubble has a scratch on it. Like it's worth nothing.
Yeah.
Or something,
And
But
one of your more prized possessions among those collectibles?
Of those Star Wars things would be, I guess, I have the Luke Skywalker from the original Star Wars, 97.7, and it's got an AFA rating of 80, which means...
AFA, of course, stands for?
Associated Friends Anonymous.
Well, then they're not associated.
What does it mean?
I don't know.
It's a
rating. It's a rating
for
system.
Like comics and toys.
Right. About the quality
I don't know what it means.
of the
American Fan Association.
Is it?
Nope. Last question. Actually, there was one
American
more.
Family Association.
Is it? No, it's not a family.
That's what it says.
Well, there's another one.
We need a family to vote on these.
Are you demanding when it comes to
there's
thread count on
several of
your
them.
sheets?
American Finance.
Here we go.
Yeah.
The whole list.
It's a whole list. Action Figure Authority.
Action
Okay, there you
Figure
go.
Authority.
There's the one
So
you're
I
looking
guess that
for.
would be
There's the one you're
I have
looking
like
for.
Luke and Darth Vader and Princess Leia, all of them.
How particular are you when it comes to thread count on your sheets?
Oh, I like to have 1,000. Like 1,000.
You like it pretty high up there.
No, I'm a little bit anal about that. Like I just got not too long ago, I got into bamboo sheets because I learned that bamboo is the best thing to have your sheets made out of if you want to not have insects around or moths
Really?
or anything like that. Yeah, they repel. The smell repels them. Like they don't.
How does it do for you, the smell?
It's okay. At first, I thought I have a mucus problem or something. Is like, why am I smelling something? Do I have shit in my nose? That's what I thought. Can you say that? Is there a sensor over there? I was like, why do I, and
The
then I found
Hayes
out it was
office.
bamboo. So it's a different.
We keep the original Hayes
Oh, is
office
that right? Okay.
of sensors over here.
It worked it off the hook.
Do
But
I
they had
have shit in my nose was a question that popped into your head.
Yeah.
That's what the
Well, bamboo later, it didn't smell that bad, but that was my first thought.
But sure enough, there haven't been bugs since.
No, it really
Were
works.
there bugs prior? Were there
A
dead
couple,
bugs
yeah, a little
biting?
bit. Yeah, I had a little sores somewhere.
Really? Okay.
Is that a question?
Nope. What was that first moment where, if there was one,
Sure.
where you felt, holy shit, I'm officially in show business now?
Oh,
Was there one of those?
Well, I guess SNL, but I mean, I did a couple of things prior to that. I was on an episode of News Radio. Do you remember that show?
Of course, we had Dave Foley here, and yeah.
Right, and an episode of Grace Under Fire. So I did a couple of shows previous to.
But those are really big deals when you first get one.
Yeah, but I didn't feel like I was in showbiz yet. You know?
Well, then that must have really hit you when you got to the stage of SNL.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was pretty. Yeah, I didn't do a lot of television prior to SNL.
Did you have a conversation with Lorne after the initial audition? Did you have the sit down in the office with Lorne moment?
Yes, I did. I'm trying to remember if it was previous to the audition.
Right.
It was after the audition. You're right. It was separate. Yeah, we're flown out for the audition and then back, and then flown out for the meet and greet or whatever.
And how did that go?
It wasn't good at all. It wasn't very good. Like Will was good. Will was smart about that kind of stuff. Like I was never. I never thought of that. Like he went in with a joke. Like he did something with a suitcase. He had an attaché case and opened it and it was empty, or I don't know what the hell. He had something planned out. He's smart about it. I did not. I just went in there.
I've heard Will talk about that.
Basically said something.
Stunt.
Yeah.
And it seemed like Will's not convinced to this day that it went.
That it went well. Well, that's possible that it didn't go. Maybe it didn't go well.
Well,
there's a choice of the decision. Do I do something funny, go in with something prepared, or I just go in and be myself? There's so many options.
And a number of people have said I just went in with the singular objective to not fuck this up.
Right, exactly. Oh yeah, of course you don't want to fuck it up. That's your biggest thing. You don't want. There's so many things you don't want to do.
Right.
And it only takes confidence and self-trust and all that kind of stuff to just find the best way to go about it.
Yeah.
Without.
Do you remember anything he said?
I think I try to say how in show business I already was involved in it. I kind of say my dad he was in the I think I just talked about how he might have known about my dad or something. I don't know what I was talking about. Oh, actually, you know what? Lorne he didn't talk to me. Steve Higgins, okay, I'll pretend I'm here sitting at the desk here, Lorne's desk, and you're Lorne. And Steve Higgins was here, is a head writer, Steve Higgins. He's on Fallon. Fallon show. I guess I don't need to keep describing it.
That's quite all right.
So Steve did more of the talking than Lorne did. And Lorne did kind of I don't know if it was a game thing or not, but he was kind of not really looking at me, but kind of looking over my shoulder and just kind of I think he was.
I may or may not be listening.
He may have been fucking with me a little bit, probably. He gave me the feeling that he was definitely not interested,
Or I wonder if something like that is establishing boundaries early on.
Oh, of course it is. Yeah.
This will be our relationship. I may or may not be interested in anything you have.
Yeah, of course. Don't. It was some sort of exactly what you just said. This is exactly what was happening. But so it made me feel terrible. Obviously, it made me feel like it went terribly.
While Higgins was fairly enthusiastic.
Well, he asked he was not exactly enthusiastic, but he asked more of the questions. He was more clearly the one that seemed more interested, and he kept the conversation going.
Yeah.
Or he just asked anything, really. Lorne didn't really ask anything. Or, and all I wanted was Lorne to laugh or respond, and he didn't really do that.
Any moment.
Well, there's that whole big thing about how he won't talk to you for a long time, and, for at least.
You mean once you get the show?
Once you get the show, for episode, he may not talk to you for a whole season, I think Rachel Dretch says that she didn't speak to her for 2 years, I think.
Jesus.
Something like that. I mean, you'll be in the elevator with him and he just won't even say anything. But that's just some people. I don't know. That's part of the old school tradition of
pecking order?
Power, pecking order, yeah, exactly. Not feeling,
How did you find out that you were indeed hired?
I auditioned with, like I said, Will and Sherry and Coolidge was told she did not get it, and then I was flown out with Will and Sherry, so we were the last three, and then there was one night I should include this as part of the answer to your question. I was out of town, and Lauren I got a call from Sherry saying, hey, can I do this sketch that we wrote together without you. And I was like, why? What's happening? And she was like, well, Lauren's coming tonight to the Groundlings. And like, this was like, he's never ever come to the show. It's like, I've always tried to get him to come and see the show. And the one time he comes happens to be a night that I'm, out of town, which you never really leave. You never really are out of town when you're in the Groundlings. You just don't.
Back then.
Yeah, back then. And so he happened to go to the show that night. And of course, I was in my head about like, oh my God, I'm not there to show that I could work with
this
the
is
others.
why I don't get the show.
Yeah, exactly. So I didn't get the show. And then it was basically 6 shows before the end of the season that Will called me and said, hey, Lauren wanted me to ask you if you wanted to join the show. And I went, oh yeah, sure.
Hey man, Lauren wanted me, because this is high school? What the fuck? How is that the chain of command? Hey buddy, it's me.
Well,
Lauren wanted me to ask you if everything was cool about you joining the show.
Yeah, you're right. Think about that. Yeah. That
What
was
the
weird.
fuck?
Well, he actually once somebody, I can't say who it was, but somebody that worked for Lauren asked me to ask Maya, because Lauren knew Maya and I were very close, to ask her if she would stay another season before she left, to stay one more season because he wants her to do Obama. But I was told to tell her from Lauren.
Because it is high school.
That's how it is. Yeah, I guess it is high school. I called Mike like, so I'm supposed to tell you that Lauren told me through blah, 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 that he wants you to stay another season.
So that you can do Obama.
She's like, what the fuck? Which is obviously everyone's.
So your buddy Will
Will
Ferrell says, hey
so
man,
he said,
Lauren wants you to do the show, and you said, fuck yeah.
I said, sure. So I literally.
And there were 6 episodes left in that season.
Right, which is unusual. Never been that way before. And when I got on, I literally had 3 days. Like, it was just, it was like a Thursday, and I got there Saturday. And
no one had been
Monday.
fired. They were just adding you.
Just adding me, and then and every thing I submitted from the first week I got on was in the show. And the first sketch I wrote was the substitute teacher gibberish guy, and the first show I did made it the first sketch of the whole night. And then the same thing happened in the second show. Like Lauren just put it in.
Your first time there, you got to be in the opening sketch.
Yeah. Not the cold opening, but the first sketch after the molly. Yeah.
Right. That's unheard of.
Well, I think it's happened before, but it's unusual. And but I think it also, what helped me too was I was confident because I was
Had it moved
mad.
up? Oh, go ahead.
I was just saying, I was confident my performance came across well with the audience because I seemed confident, because prior to that I did not get the job. I wasn't hired, and I was angry about that. Because I worked so hard at trying to get Lauren to come to Groundlings.
Your whole life was
based.
based.
And that I was so angry that I didn't get it, and so kind of like,
fuck this.
I was like, fuck, man. I was just kind of, over it. Not over it, but just like, what it is. I accepted how unfortunate that was, and then, as they say, when you let something go, it comes back, and that's what I did. I completely let go of the fact that I lost. Didn't get. It's not going to happen with SNL. And that sucks. And I concentrated on trying to get the show for 4 or 5 years, and it didn't happen. And whatever.
So how long after Will's phone call? How long after your sit down with Lauren and Higgins did Will then call you? The whole first season, the whole that season until 6 episodes?
Mm-hmm. So I guess that was like.
So you were
months
flown out twice. You had to sit down with Lauren.
Right.
And then you heard nothing other than Sherry and Will got the show.
Right, except for the fact that I missed that Growling show that Lauren came to. And that was. Because
there's never. It seems like there's never a phone call that says you didn't.
Not. Oh, you did get.
You didn't.
No, right. There is no phone call. You just like.
You just don't hear.
Oh, I haven't heard yet.
Right.
And
Everyone else
starting rehearsal. The show's going to air Saturday.
Right.
So yeah, it was kind of a bummer, but like I said, I let go of that, and I think that's what helped me through my performance on the show on SNL, and that's probably why it helped me get the sketch on so early. I just was very. I really was kind of like, fuck this place.
Yeah.
At first. But then and then later, strangely, I became more insecure or intimidated when, well, it's interesting because I actually wrote a book. It's coming out next year.
That's exciting. No, I saw in the research that you were working on this book.
Yeah, it's called Baby Don't Hurt Me, and it's got a lot of interesting stories that are behind the curtain, but nobody's nothing scathing or anything, but there's a lot of interesting stuff, and
sure,
people don't seem to want to talk about for whatever reason that everyone knows about during my time. But for whatever reason, people don't really talk about it. And I don't think it's that juicy or anything, but it's interesting. Anyway.
For example?
Well, let me finish this.
Sure.
Wait, what was my? Oh, damn it! You sidetracked me.
Getting your first sketch on, you just got there. 6 weeks left. You were over it.
Right, I was over it, and that helped me with my performance. And that
the confidence sort of came from you had let go.
As soon as that's what I was going to say. That when I got on the show, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I already had it planned out, and I was like, okay, this week I'll do that. This week I'll do that. Oh, with that guest host, I'll do that. So I had it planned out, and everything I predetermined did happen.
That's crazy.
And then when I started listening to other people, then I started becoming more insecure a little bit. When I started collaborating with the writers, I started not getting my sketches in, which is strange.
Yeah, that is interesting.
But but the strange thing also is that I gained more friends. So I alienated myself in the very beginning, but was more successful on the show and was very alone. Nobody really liked me, but except for Will and Molly. And Molly only because, and Sherry, but Molly because we respected each other because she was in Santa Monica, maybe in this year, I don't know, but she was doing her show, Mary Catherine Gallagher's show, and she heard about me at the Groundlings. Anyway, so we had mutual respect for each other. And, but other than those three, everyone else was kind of like, that little fucker, what's the deal? Why is he here? How does he get these sketches on?
How did he come in so late in this season?
Right, why is, exactly.
And instantly in every fucking opening sketch, yeah.
Well, almost nearly every opening.
Also things that he wrote.
Right, yes, for sure. Nobody wrote for me. It was all, I was ready to go. I think that's what they wanted me to do. I think that's why I was hired too, And I did that for a long time. But the more I ended up, got involved with other people and thinking, oh, is that what I should do? It didn't work out as well for me, which is interesting.
Right.
But it was worth it to become friends with people and than to be alone and be that, get everything on in the beginning. I would have run out of, it just wouldn't keep going that way.
No.
You can't keep going that way.
Of course.
It's impossible.
It's interesting that those were your three allies, because you guys were on the Rolling Stone cover together.
Yes.
It was the four of you.
Yeah. And that happened once shortly after the show too. First I got on was the Rolling Stone cover. Mm-hmm. So all this stuff was coming, there's this new energy that was happening too. The guest hosts were also they weren't like Jim Carrey and these people and Tom Hanks. It was other people.
Lesser famous? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, lesser of an audience draw. And then when I got on, it was my energy, but like Will and I, there was a lot of characters we did at the Groundlings. So this energy just popped up and
Sure.
It was just I don't know, something happened when we're all together, you know what I mean? So, but other than Will and I and Sherry always collaborated a lot. We had a lot of stuff. That energy that we had in the Groundlings worked. They had, they had their cheerleaders characters.
Sure.
But Will and I had a lot of stuff, and anyway, so I don't know, just something happened during that time, and I that was fun. I had I had an incredible time at SNL. So. And
writing the book, cathartic, but also celebration, I hope.
Yes. There was some, of course. It was cathartic and celebratory. Yeah.
Because that would be the best things to come from.
Oh, yeah. Wait, what?
Writing a book about.
To celebrate?
To celebrate what you went through, but also.
Oh, of course, yeah. There's nothing really all of it is stuff to celebrate about, even the negative stuff, which is not a lot of negative, well, no, that's not true. There's a lot of negative stuff.
For example?
A lot of just a lot of disappointing things that have just some people, whatever. It was just some crap.
I just mean in terms of what you were able to talk about in the book.
Oh, well, there's some, I talk about, for example, I had, recently I didn't talk about for a long time, but I broke my neck. I say in the book where, but I won't talk about it now. But I broke my neck, and then I had surgery, and then
several surgeries according to the research.
4 of them, yeah. And for the surgery, after when you have a surgery, like I had spinal surgery, so there's a lot of fusion and a lot of crap going on. So, and like I got a lot of bolts, nuts and bolts in my neck. So because of that, there are a lot of when you have after surgery, you have post surgery where you're healing. Where you can't move and you're like learning to walk again and you're on medication and
for a long time.
For a very long time. You're supposed to be in the hospital for like another 2-3 weeks to lying down. Then you go home and that's a month and a half of lying down. And then after that month and a half, then you work off the meds for a month and then you learn how to walk with a walker again. And then the nerves come back. It takes about 4, 5, 6 months till you're actually walking normally where you can stand up instead of like, it's pretty, because you can't be seen. You'd rather not be seen for those 6 months. You know? So that happened 4 times in that 20-year span. So that's like 2 years of looking like that or acting like that. So every time I was seen or looked like that or whatever, instead of telling people about that, I wanted to keep working. I didn't want to tell anyone like, oh hey, I had surgery, So,
and I'm recovering from that as opposed to being a drug addict and having a problem.
Yeah, although I was on pills, so you could say I was a drug addict. Although I was told to take pills, but I did. I looked. There's a period of within those 20 years, 4 times that I was not in good shape. And it really cost my career a lot of stuff in my career. Really affected my career and work and. Just a lot of people's judgment, I guess. I don't know, but it really I talk a lot about that in the book because I never really talked about that for a long time.
That's great.
It answers a lot of like what happened to him and like why isn't even stupid questions like why is Will there and you're not, which is
Jesus Christ.
That's a ridiculous question.
Jesus Christ.
But people are like that. People do ask that, but we're 2 separate people. We have 2 different lives. It's okay. I'm not. Just doesn't matter. But there were limitations to where I was at when you're having surgery. You're limited.
Physical limitations.
Yeah.
Literally.
But then afterwards you depending on physical therapy and all that stuff, you're a rock star. Like a lot of Olympic athletes are fine after doing surgery and they do and they're back and fine. So I'm fine, but I went through a lot of crap. And every so often it scares me a little bit too because, I'll be like, what's this pain? And then they ask me to go do a CAT scan and say, oh, you got 2 screws loose, they're floating around. I said, is that normal? They said, it is, but you may have to go back in there. So I'm like, what? I don't want to even think about that.
Right.
So,
You have 2 screws loose. Is that normal? Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It seems like a peculiar exchange.
So it makes me self-conscious a little bit, and I don't like talking about it much because...
And you also know that your body's been in recovery 4 different times, 4 massive different times.
Yeah.
So...
It is. It's massive. You don't understand. People don't really realize. I mean, I don't want to show up. I have a big, long scar from here and...
You must.
Down there, so... You know, and there are times like my hand, like I can't even do it. I don't even want to talk. But like this hand is straighter, and this one can only go that far right now. I mean, that's how it is.
I can do that.
And it used to be like this. Like literally, I was like that, like trying to hold my arm like this.
Yeah.
But so. But I talked about that. That's the same. But there's a lot of stories I talk about. So I celebrate the telling of that, I guess.
Yes.
The sharing.
You should.
But I go into a lot of detail and talk all about that.
When should we expect the book?
I guess next, when Justice League 2's out.
You're going to coincide the release with Justice League 2?
I was wondering when that's out, yeah.
Okay.
No, it's, I think next summer, fall. I'm supposed to hand it in December 15th. That's right of this year.
Is there any chance, do you want me to make a call? Is there any chance you'll meet the December 15th?
Oh, no, I will.
Oh, good.
Yeah. It's already, I'm doing rewrites of the last couple
it's all about rewriting.
But yeah, it's been kind of like a 6-year process, this book. And I'm not like, it was never a book like, I got to make a book because I want a publicity thing or why not do a book? Or, you know, like, hey, I want to be funny. It's not a funny book. I mean, there's funny anecdotes, but it's like real, you know, don't think I'll be in legal trouble, but, you know, I do.
You don't think you'll be in legal trouble?
I won't. Okay. I doubt I would be. But, you know, I do talk and I do whatever.
You share.
I share. Yeah. I'm not one to really, you know, think I need to be funny. And that's more important than just being honest. I'd rather be honest than be funny.
Right. And if it's meant to be funny, it will be.
Exactly. You know, because but a lot of people. There's a lot of people on SNL that have gone through a lot of hard times.
Sure.
And you can even see it in their performance. You know, a lot of the people that were, and you see it with actors too. You know, the people that have sometimes had a harder life are the ones that really. Can go there in their characters, you know, in their performance, because they're in their life.
They've experienced emotions.
Like exactly. They know what it's like when you say, like, hey, you're doing a scene where your dad died. Like, well, my dad died. I could do that. Or, you know, like you can go there, as they say, you know. If you haven't experienced certain things like that, if you don't want to know what it's like to be dumped or, you know, be all those terrible things, then, you know, it's hard to imagine or convince the audience of that in your performance. So, and that's the same with the comedy too. You know, like I didn't know Farley very well, but I'm sure he went through a lot of stuff. And you know, Molly went through a lot of stuff, and that's what made her a better actress. Or, you know, in her performance of Mary Catherine, when she's doing Mary Catherine, she's able to do, you know, those crazy whatever intensity licking and, you know, those sniffing, whatever her body was doing, you know, and. And will, you know, whatever. There's a lot of, I don't know. You know, it just makes you. I don't know. I was happy. I do celebrate that I did go through some crappy times. There's other things I went through, but.
Do we have a title for the book?
Yeah, Baby Don't Hurt Me.
Baby Don't Hurt Me.
The What Is Love song. But anyway.
Yes, of course. And folks should look for that in the summer or fall.
Yeah.
We just have time for a couple of more questions.
Oh my God! Okay.
The first one is.
Is that okay that none of that was funny? Does it matter?
This show has won more awards for it not being funny.
More awards?
For not being funny.
Oh my God! Oh, you got the Not Funny award?
We got the This Show Is Not Fucking Around award.
Oh, is that the guy with the shovel?
Yep. Sherry O'Terry asked, "What was your costume for Halloween?" One of the famous questions. What was your costume for Halloween?
It was a pair of sweats.
That's right. That's correct.
I was at home.
That's what I have here. Pair of sweats.
Really?
At home. Yep. The next segment is called Ask Kevin.
Oh, okay. Oh, do I ask you something?
Well.
Oh, okay. Really? Mm-hmm. How does the segment go?
You asked me
I just
something.
asked you a question?
Anything. Could be what I had for lunch.
Kevin.
Yes?
What was the last kind of cigar you had?
The last kind of cigar.
What was the last one?
Partagas Serie D number 4.
And what was the first cigar you've ever had?
Oh, the first one was this probably plastic Tipperillo when I was 12.
A Tipperillo?
You know, just
I don't
a
know
little.
what that is.
It's a little garbage, nothing cigar that you get into.
From the garbage?
From the garbage. That's right. Someone buys it from a drugstore.
How old were you when you had your first
12
cigar? Really?
Yeah.
Were you like, I know how to do this?
Yes.
Because you were like, don't inhale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. At the top of the hill behind the Zucker's house.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
The Zuckermans? The Zuckers?
Just the Zuckers.
Okay.
Sure.
Jerry Zucker?
Yes. Now it's time for the pop quiz. Between 5 and 15 points possible for each of these 3 questions. Once the final score is tabulated, it'll be posted on our website along with current standings among the top 100. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Question number 1.
Yes.
Sammy Davis Jr. or
Wait, what am I asking? Why do I choose one of these?
These are the questions.
Okay. I did.
Sammy Davis Jr. or Ann B. Davis?
Why do I choose? Sammy Davis Jr.
That's correct. Question number 2.
Oh, I see. I get it.
Carl Weathers or the weather in Carlsbad?
The weather in Carlsbad.
That's of course correct. And last question, Keith?
Oberman.
That's how you play the pop quiz.
I want to say Keith Sweat.
Nope. That would have been dead wrong.
What's wrong with Keith Sweat?
Nothing. Just wasn't the answer to the question.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you so much for spending some of your
welcome.
Sunday with us.
Thank you.
Honestly and truly.
You don't have to tell the audience it's a Sunday.
Okay.
But is this airing on a Sunday or are we live?
We'll drop on a Tuesday, but people listen to it till the end of time.
Oh, so you can be.
They'll dial you up whenever the fuck they feel like.
Right.
Yeah.
So they're probably used to the fact that this is done on a Sunday.
I like them to know that you gave up some of your Sunday for us. That's what I'm.
Well, it's all about sharing.
Celebrating. We have only one last thing for you to do.
Okay.
It's called the Larry King game.
Okay.
I need you to do 3 things to play the Larry King game.
All
one, I need a bad Larry King impression. I don't want a good one. I don't even want an attempt at a good one.
Okay.
I want a bad one.
All right.
And then, as Larry, not you, as Larry, I need you to look down the barrel and share something about Larry, yourself,
Okay.
Larry, and then go to the phones. And if the name of the city is funny sounding that you go to, that's not a bad thing. So, bad Larry King impression, Larry shares something about himself that no one fucking cares about, and then he goes to the phones.
Okay. So like, let's take this call, kind of. Let's go to the phones.
When you're ready. There's your camera.
This is Larry King, live. I have suspenders on and my glasses are a little too large. Today, I'm going to share something about myself. I like cabbage, children, my children, my own car, and quilts. Also, we got a call. Caller number 1. From Toluca.
Yes.
Toluca Lake.
Toluca Lake.
Sorry, Toluca Lake. It's Tallulah Bankhead. Hello, Tallulah, and Toluca Lake.
That's how you play the Larry King game. Thank you, sir.
We could have done just that, and
Yep.
the whole hour would have been funny. Instead,
Oh no, we'll
whatever.
Cut. We'll edit. I'm totally
okay.
kidding. I'm totally kidding. We don't edit a fucking thing. Thank you so much, Chris. Honestly,
Thank you,
truly,
Kevin.
yeah. I can't wait to read the book. Honestly,
Well, there's other things I'm doing, but that is the more interesting part of me.
is there something else you'd like to mention?
No, it
Nope.
doesn't matter. I mean, I could.
Sure.
I don't know what. I don't know.
Is there a website or something people can go to?
I guess follow me on Twitter.
Yeah.
At Chris Kattan.
At Chris
or
Kattan.
Instagram, Chris Kattan Official. And that's where you'll find out what I'm going to do next if I'm doing something.
That's the best way to do it.
right?
Okay.
Movies and TV and
Everything.
animated things. Animated shows.
Animated things is always
You
good.
do animated, you've done animated voices,
Technically, yes.
right? What was the last thing you did?
I don't see how that's your business, Chris.
What? Not like the voice of a vibrator or something. Like, what does that mean? Like,
Vicky the vibrator.
Kevin the vibrator. That's right. Oh, Vicky the vibrator.
Vicky the vibrator.
Coming from Pixar.
Yeah.
Happy vibrators.
And there's one that's really angry.
Yeah. And
I'm a vibrator.
see, we could have done that all hour. I could have done that too.
Yes.
I know. Whatever. It's
You'll
okay.
have to come back. Would
right.
you come back possibly when the book is actually due out? Nope, not a chance in hell.
Not happening.
No.
I'm over in Toluca Lake.
Would you co-headline with me at Captain Brian's Off the Hook
yes. We'll need each other. We'll be like, I would do that.
on the suicide tour?
Yeah, exactly. It's so moldy down there.
Oh
so
God,
moldy.
that was the smell. Mold.
Yeah.
Mold, it was. I said humid before, but it's mold. It's like mold.
It was complete mold.
It's like, I said semen, but with semen. Yeah.
Siemens semen. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
And now sit there uncomfortably while I wrap things up.
Okay.
There's your show. Thank you so much for joining us now, and check out the archives, if you will, kevinpollack.tv. Sammy, Jamie, thanks.
Thank you. I can't wait to see you guys on the 2 for the Money tour.
Yes.
I didn't know it was a bargain tour. I
2
just
tickets
thought it
for
worked out.
paradise.
I didn't know it was less money.
Dr. Evil Kenny Chen, Luke Allen, Jaden Fox on makeup. We got the Brad Register and Jay.
Jamie Foxx?
Yep,
That's my name.
Is it?
it is.
That's
His-
I'm the original.
She's the original. His real name is
I believe you.
Eric Bishop is his name, by the way.
I didn't know that.
Yep. It's important that you learn that before we
So much on Sundays.
wrapped up. Corey Levitt Post. I think that is everyone. Until next time. And as always, hey, get out of my face.